Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back to another episode of Break Room Banter.
It's a hairstylist adjacent podcast where each week,
two friends
who also happen to be hairstylists,
break down our weeks in the break room. I'm your host, Hunter Walden.
and I am your co-host, Ericka the Red.
And today we're going to have just a fun episode for you guys.
Yes.
I feel like I have produced the crap out of some episodes and I really want to try a more relaxed vibe.
Today.
So yeah, today and moving forward.
I like it.
So we are learning to work together.
Yes, and I was going to say, I feel like this epiphany probably came out of that learning to work together moment we had the other night.
Yes.
Right? Yes,
Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, we're learning to work together, and that is kind of what the episode's going to be about today.
Yeah, so Hunter and I are very different, but we're also
Very similar.
very similar. Hunter's very organized, very meticulous, very prepared. I am very fly by the seat of your pants. I work better under pressure, and sometimes if I over prepare, then I psych myself out, and then I'm like, this is shit. I have to come up with something completely different, and then I'll just go left wing. So we have been working through that with this podcast. And the other night, what was it? We had somebody cancel, I think.
We did, and you got to see my...
And Hunter went into
breakdown.
It wasn't a breakdown, because that makes it sound like you were like, blah! But it wasn't like that. It was actually very different. He went more internal. And he just kind of shut down. And we had to, okay, so we don't have a guest, so we have to do something else. So we tried to record the episode on our own without our guest, and it wasn't vibing. It just wasn't working. We recorded it. It wasn't good. We trashed it. It was garbage. So instead,
show business, baby.
Showbiz. Oh God. Never mind. I just made a call to one of my other favorite podcasts, but besides this one, we ended up sitting down and starting over, and prepping, and Hunter was getting just almost he just had
it was like a block.
Yeah.
Nothing was coming in and nothing was going out.
It was almost like you were trying too hard to come up with something that you couldn't, it was writer's block, right? And so here I come, and I'm like, Deacon was here. That was another thing. Deacon was here, so I wasn't really prepared much or prepping much for the podcast themselves. I would kind of just show up and you'd hand me some notes. And I almost had been struggling with your style of preparation because it was too over prepared and too much for me to go off of. So, but I came into the situation having not been the one to prep it. So I wasn't so let down that it wasn't working. I hadn't put hours and days into prepping it, so I was just a little more of a relaxed vibe, even though I had my own craziness going on. So we sat down, and I started talking, and Hunter made good out of what I was spitting out.
Right. I would just write it down. And that was the thing, too, is I was trying to focus on making it look pretty on paper, when really what I found works best, actually, for me is kind of your style, how you just spit out words. And as you were spitting out words, I was writing those words down. And then I looked at the piece of paper and I found the way that they melted together. So it was a learning moment for me, too, realizing that, that isn't my most efficient way of creating. It's more of that, let's throw it all down and
it's
pick
almost
up
like
what
a
works.
vision board with words.
Yeah. But you know what we did forget?
What?
Our peak and pit.
Okay, well, guess what? This episode is whatever the hell we want it to be, so we'll do our peek and pit whenever we feel like it.
Period.
That was That was
You're
a
right.
peak and a pit right there.
Yeah,
it was a peak that came out of a pit. So, boom, shakalaka. We did it.
We did it. Okay.
What was that?
Oh, it's my computer has my notifications. I didn't turn them off.
You got an appointment.
Yes. Appointment time.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn on my work. Do not disturb.
So, yeah, that. And then that was a good moment for us for this podcast, right?
I think so, too.
Which not only do we work well at the salon together, now we're doing this podcast together, and we're still managing to stay friends and not let it get in the middle of that, which I think is cool too.
I do too.
I mean, we're just beginning, but
that is true. We just started.
Keep it. we're on that vibe. We're gonna let.
Don't get ahead of
going.
yourself.
Yeah. The end of winter is coming. No, just kidding.
Oh my
Sorry,
God!
I've been
with
on
the
a Game of Thrones kick. Yes.
Oh, funny.
So I feel like that can then segue into what else we were going to talk about. I'll let you say.
So this is kind of going to be a 2-parter episode.
Yeah.
Ericka and I had the opportunity to do something really cool this weekend with one of my guests that I met at a bar.
Did you meet her at a bar?
That
doesn't surprise me though, because she was so like sweet and friendly and just so kind. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was, I think she had just played a gig and was at the bar that I happened to be at that weekend. And, you know me. You say, if you go out with Hunter, he will market the shit out of you.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I didn't have anyone but myself to market. So, obviously, I was like, girl, you've got to let me do your hair. And it was like box burgundy. You know the color.
Well, I think, yes.
Yeah, you know the color. I've
seen it in a picture when I went on an Instagram Spotify deep dive. I was like, oh, no, blonde, much better.
Right. Blonde is much better for her. But I was like, hey, I would love to do your hair and like do some work together. Well, she was filming a music video and I kind of inserted myself. I was like, who's doing your hair? I was like, do you have hair and makeup?
I love it.
Because I do those things.
I do those things.
I do those things. And so we booked it. And then later that afternoon, I was like, yo, Ericka, you want to come do this with me? I think it'll be fun.
Love it.
And so we did our first like on-set thing together.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that the experience we had on the podcast, learning to work together in this setting really helped us out in the field.
You're probably right, because we've gotten so much more in tune with each other doing this. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I think you're right.
Well, and two, something that really helped me, and I don't know if you know this or noticed it, whenever it got, so we did multiple looks for this music video. When it got to the end and the table got really messy, I just started asking you for things. Because I knew that your brain could single it out, but my brain looked at the table and I just saw black. I was like, I don't know what to fucking do. I don't know what to grab. Where's it going? There were so many people around me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Ericka, can you hand me this?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, it's right here.
Well, I was coming into it like, I think the day before we talked about it. And I was...
I mean, I found out the day before, too.
Oh, shoot. I didn't
she
realize
came...
that.
Well, it was that Tuesday, and I think I asked you that Saturday. I asked you Saturday. I was like, hey, do you want to come? Like,
yeah.
I didn't know what that would entail. I knew that I needed someone to... bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, well, and I was like, I can film, we can have content for the podcast, like, it could be cool. And then I got there and I took a couple pictures and then suddenly I was doing hair.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, do you want to, like...
He was like, get in there and fix that. Or, I was like, hey, can I pin this or something?
It was the bouffant wasn't bouffanting enough.
Yeah.
And so, like, you were like, let's pin this here like this so that it'll stay, and then it stayed the entire night.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just got to a point that we just kind of like meshed together. We did the work and it ended up being stunning and beautiful.
It was so cool.
It was so cool.
Everything about that experience, though, in a room of creatives that are like, obviously we're in the same creative world, but this was like videographer, musicians, you know,
and
there
I
was
think
a choreographer and like light guys and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just was like, but what, I mean, we all gave ideas about this and that and this and that, and like they ended up taking them, or like one guy was like really set on doing something with this doll. And so while she was shooting it, the videographer was like, okay, I like it. Make it happen,
and I'll take
while
it.
I'm doing this. And so me and that guy like made it. We were like tying streamers and using this and using that. And then she went and used it, you know, and it was cool. And then we found a hat in the hallway, and then we made it part of like, it wasn't originally part of the plan, but then we came back down and we were like, okay, what do you think? We're feeling inspired. If you like it, cool. If you don't, cool. we did it. We liked it. We ended up taking it off and moving forward. But
it worked for the second that it'll be in the video.
it was perfect.
It was perfect. It made it exactly what it needed to be. It served its purpose. And it was, and I like what you said, like, I'm pretty sure everyone there is in the creative field.
Yes.
Like, I think that they were all like musicians and stuff. And it was funny because there was one guy over in the corner scoring a movie.
Yeah.
Scoring a movie. Another guy was upstairs. He just stayed on the drum set all night. Just played the drums all night. So there was a constant like, and it was, I didn't know that like you could have good and bad drums, but I would imagine what I would play would be bad drums.
Yes.
And what he was doing, it sounded like music.
Really
like
good,
it didn't sound like banging on drums. It was like, and it was just that constant all night with her song in the background. And it was just
is
vibe.
That song is a vibe.
It is
such a vibe. It's like, I mean, can we talk about it? I mean, the song's out.
The song is out. Yeah, she released it a year ago.
Yeah. It's Halloween themed.
It's called Trick or Treat.
But it's not about Halloween.
No, it's actually about revenge, getting your revenge. And like I said before, this is going to be a 2-part episode. So later on,
we're going to have Jamie
in the week, or next week, we'll have Jamie on and to talk about her experience. And she'll probably
music.
J-Ren. Yeah, J-Ren. She'll probably talk more about what the song's about, but just by listening to it, it's a revenge song, honey. And she is mad as hell.
So catchy.
It's so catchy.
Ugh.
Everyone's going to be listening to it.
Yeah, all night we were like, I don't want to sing on the podcast.
I know. Jay's gonna get a copyright strike on us.
Exactly. But yeah, it's so good and it was so fun and like it was so, oh my God, rejuvenating for me to like, I love that stuff. You know, my original, when we had Sabrina on, I mean, when I first started working at Bombshells and we got to work with Sabrina, or like somebody told me about Sabrina and I got to meet her. First of all, she's so sweet and humble and like the nicest person ever.
Oh yeah.
But then I'm like, she does like when I wanted to do hair, when I was little, it was
because
makeup
of hair and
movie
movies.
sets, and I did want to really even get into like special effects makeup and stuff too. But you know, my life changed direction, and so like, but I always loved that, like fashion week, art walks, editorial photo shoots. Like, I mean, I've done some stuff that's like a little crazy and weird. Like, obviously, I lived in Oregon. We did a photo shoot with my salon for Eugene Weekly with a lady who taught a class at the community college that was a recycled fashion thing.
Is that the one with the newspaper?
The newspaper dresses.
That one was cool.
Well, and then I had to end up being the freaking model for it too, because I was only on tatas to fill it out. That's what it was.
Oh my God.
But actually, we had to do 2 photo shoots up for it. So one of them was for us, and then the second one was for the weekly, actually. And I had been working out, and by the second one, I had to tell Aaron, I was like, I didn't fit in my dress because I was too small. But my arms looked better in that shot. So, anyways, my point is that creative kind of stuff, like working with people outside of your little industry directly, can be even more inspiring, you know, because you're getting people who look at things differently than you.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And I like the videographer said at the end, she was like, you know, you didn't have to have hair and makeup, but if you didn't, the story wouldn't have come together. And that was the one I kind of felt a little tingle when she said that, because I was like, it's true.
It is true.
We completed the story.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to do more of it too. So I think that it was like, it's definitely the beginning of an era for the two of us. And we worked so well together.
It was seamless.
And it was...
and like, I also would like to just throw this in here too, because like, from my perspective, like there were a couple times where I spit out video, like ideas, and yes, we worked together, but also like we are creatives, and this was not my gig. You invited me on, and I know that, and I appreciate that, and I also know you respect my, like, vision or whatever, but there was no point where you were like, ugh.
Right.
With anything I said, you were like, ooh, I like that. Or you took it and then we're like, and then we're going to do this. And I was like, yes. And it was just crazy how I'd spit something or you'd say something and then it would either be like, you are thinking my thoughts, or it was like, you just took that, yes, and here we're going to take it to the next level. So it was just really cool.
And I can't tell you how many times I said, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of that. That is the best idea. Like when you were curling the extension hair, I was just going to put it in and curl it. But it made so much more sense to curl it before you put it in. Ahead of time, yeah.
Whose phone is that?
I think that's yours, yeah.
Whoa, sorry, Mike.
It's fine.
Also, side note, Bradley gave me some jeans for Deacon and some clothes for Deacon this summer, and I am wearing Bradley's jeans right now, which is great, but there's a little more crotchal fabric while I rearrange on camera here.
I know, it's like, I haven't looked at myself on the camera yet, and I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. Also, welcome to YouTube.
Yay! This is our YouTube debut.
This is it. We have 2 more pieces that are on their way, and I haven't shown you yet, but they're finished. And they're going to be going on either side of our little break room banter.
Wait, what are they? Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm very happy that she went the direction she went with it, and I think you will be too. But yeah, so this is our welcome to YouTube.
Cool. Let me see. So what else?
Working together. What is something that you've learned from working with someone like me that's super type A? And then I'm going to think of something that I've learned from working.
Oh, God.
From you.
Like that I have been able to pick up from you, or that I learned about myself? Like I learned like I'm a huge fucking mess, but I think I already knew that already.
Well, what I've learned, I'll go right into that because of what you said, is people that aren't as organized as me they're not lazy. They just, like you, work well under pressure. So if I've learned to be more patient and trust your process and trust in other people, because in the end it works out.
Look at you. I like that. Okay, cool.
Because
that's good.
I feel like I get stuck in this is the way that I need it to go. But it's not just about me, and it's never going to be just about me. So learning, like, oh, she does wait till the last minute, yes, but that doesn't make her lazy. That doesn't make you a mess. That just makes it that's your way of doing it, and it's the way that it's worked for you, and it ultimately has worked for us.
Yeah, that's true. There's been, I do think, moments where the balance of our 2 characters have really
clashed a little.
Well, clashed, but then us being able to find the happy medium has been good. Like, it wouldn't have been good if we did it my way. It would have been good if we did it your way. It was better that we did it our way.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I would say I have just learned, I think this is probably the first time that I've worked with someone that is as much, like, so different from me in that area where I haven't felt like a complete disaster. Because you don't make me feel that way. Sorry.
I'm not a complete disaster burp.
I just had to burp. Hey, at least I burped out of the mic.
You're that part. It's growth. It's growth.
37-year-old woman, you have to tell me not to burp in the mic on my own podcast. Shoot. Okay. No, okay, but I am a quirky person. Like I am my own cup of tea. I'm my own flavor. Okay?
You're my cup of tea as well.
I like it. And I know based off previous friendships that I am easy to love and also like hard to handle.
I wouldn't quite say hard to handle.
Hunty, today's also my 1-year anniversary at Bombshells.
I have that written down somewhere. Congratulations.
And I'm not at work.
Happy anniversary.
We haven't known each other that long, but I'm sure that, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm emotional. I'm quirky. I do things last minute. I can be super forgetful. Like, I never leave the salon once. I never leave my house once. It's always twice. I'm not kidding. And it's like,
I'm laughing because that is very true.
Having seen someone that I haven't seen in a while this last weekend who would get very irritated about those things with me, you know what I mean? And like, just, it kind of just reminded me that, like, I am lovable, but I can be annoying sometimes, and I have my quirks, and like, those are one of those things that will never change about me because that's just part of who I am.
Right.
I will always continue to be working on being better while also trying to balance accepting myself for who I am, because that's something I've been struggling with. It's like, I have these things I don't like about myself, and so I want to be better about them. But I would say maybe you have been helpful for me in being like, Ericka, you fucking are who you are, bro. Like, always want to be better, but like, there's nothing wrong with you, you know?
Right.
You're okay. Because I think that I've had a lot of voices my whole life telling me that there's something wrong with me, you know? Mm-hmm. Whether it be directly, whether it be in my own head, or, you know, relationships that I have had or whatever, or even friendships. And like, there have been some of them that have been hard to, like, that's never easy to hear, you know? And there's been times where I needed to hear that, but then there's also been times where it's like, no, that's okay. Like, I've heard it in, hey girl, you're messing up, and I needed to hear that. Mm-hmm. I've also heard it in, like, where there's been times where I should have been like, you know, and I didn't. Yeah. So I think that maybe that has been something for me.
Yeah.
Now that you said what you said, that kind of comes out. I wasn't sure what to say at first. Other than, like, I do still compare myself to you, and we've talked about imposter syndrome, and like, I always have in my head that like these organized people are the successful people, and that's why I'm not successful. But I do have to remind myself there are people out there who are just as much, if not crazier than me, who have figured it out. But it's because they believed in their way and their themselves, and that's something that I'm growing into. Unfortunately, I didn't learn that lesson in my 20s. I wish I had, but I didn't. And I'm also getting to a point where I'm like, okay, cool, you're 37, you're getting here now, but there's going to be people you can help too, who not everybody is the same person, and that's okay, you know, and you don't have to be everybody's cup of tea, and you can learn things and do things your own way. And I've always said everything happens for a reason, but I've struggled to find the reason why I was still struggling to find the reason, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense. Well, and you said something in there that I do want to issue a little bit of a correction to.
Uh-oh.
Because you said that's the reason I'm still not successful.
Fuck!
And how many times do I have to fucking tell you?
Not necessarily right now.
I know what you meant, but I just wanted to. I wanted to point it out.
Okay.
I wanted to poke the bear.
Listen, I will not consider myself successful until I have successfully figured out how to not overdraft my bank account.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fair.
I had been there for about 6 months. But then this summer happened, and I took all that time off, and I was spending way more money than usual, and I did get a little, I wouldn't say irresponsible. I chose the memories over
absolutely the memories with your child
situation. Yeah, like that mattered more to me. But maybe it was a little irresponsible, but I don't give a shit.
But you're happy.
I got to do things with my baby boy, and he remembers it. And so, yeah, that's all I care about. But
exactly. I think I really appreciate what you said about how I never like made you feel like you're a bad person for being the person that you are, because I feel like so much of my life I had to put on a mask and had to be, or felt like I had to be a person that, you know, the people of the church, or, you know, I grew up in a town of 300 people. everybody knows everybody. If you act a certain way in front of one person, by the time you get home, everyone in your family knows. Yeah. And moving away and really just not giving one single fuck about who I am, what I look like. I remember when I first moved, I was like, I'm going to carry a purse and I'm going to do this and I'm going to wear makeup and I'm going to do all of these things
that you couldn't do.
That I couldn't do. And I mean, it landed me into this career. Yeah. But it also just made me realize that you are perfect the way that you are. No matter who you are, where you've been, what you've been through, there's someone else down the street that's been through something worse. There's no reason for you to walk outside of your house and look at someone and judge what the fuck they're doing because of how you feel like they should be acting. Yeah. Because that's not them. That's their journey and you're on yours. And that's the reason there's 2 lanes on a highway.
Well, that's so true. And like, I feel like in moments of strength, when or if somebody makes me feel like I'm not good enough, in moments of strength, I remember thinking things like, the world needs people like me.
It does.
And sometimes that gets shot down. Listen, we can't all be doctors, lawyers, soldiers, presidents. Whatever.
The world would be boring.
It would be boring. Okay. Here's the other part of that. I'm also a little bit of a hippie. So like I don't know. I just don't think like there are things that happen in people's lives that like bad things happen. It happens. It makes people react a certain way. That's what like I love and hate this about myself. Like I've always said, like I can see everything. It's a curse almost. Like I can always put myself in someone's mindset for the most part. But I could never put myself in the mindset of someone who accepted themselves. I will look at people who are like, I have had these moments where when I was younger, I might have judged someone. And then I'd be like, look at her, like she's this or she's that. And now when I see someone like that, I'm like, look at how confident they are. Like I might think that they look funny, but they think they look amazing.
They know they look amazing.
They know they look amazing, and it's not even necessarily about looks. That's just an example.
Right.
But, or I'm just like, I'm in awe of people's confidence in who they are because that's something that I had struggled with for so long, but now I'm starting to like learn and I don't really realize how I got off onto this tangent or where I was even going.
Well, and I think it's really important also to note that no matter how pretty someone is, how beautiful their lives look, they could be the queen of the universe if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And behind closed doors, they're just as filthy as you.
Don't know. Yeah.
You have no clue what goes on behind closed doors. And having a conversation that we had earlier really like opened my eyes to like, even though, yes, I am the type of person that's like, let whoever do whatever they want and be whoever they want, I still do have that like, oh, well, that's that person, like
it is
they're
human.
perfect.
It's human to, everyone always says, oh, I don't judge people. That's bullshit. We all do.
It is bullshit because we all judge someone.
We all do. You can't not. That's what our brain makes judgments. That's how we survive, like literally, Now, if you challenge yourself on those judgments, I think is where you take it a step further into a growth level and you can maybe change the way that you think about things or you can change what your initial judgments may be, but you're always going to make judgments on people. And I feel like I have always been kind of hypersensitive to that because I'm like, people are judging me,
Girl, you just can't give a fuck.
But that's the thing is like I've also like, and you have to learn. It's okay for me to be the way I am. Like there can always be room to grow and challenge yourself and be better. But like there does have to be a certain level of acceptance that like I'm one of these is not like the other, and that's okay because I'm not supposed to be like. I will always be an emotional person, but guess what? If you need to come and talk to me, I will love you and I will absorb all your freaking energy and your pain, and I will help you process that. And it might mean that I'm the one that's crying and you're not, or maybe I cry your tears later, but that's part of who I am as a person, right?
Right.
Crying right now. I'm not sad at all, just so everyone knows. People don't understand that I leak from my eyeballs. It doesn't mean that, like, you need to pay any attention to it.
And then the type of person that I am gets very...
And here's another thing is that, yes, I know that it makes certain people uncomfortable. It is almost like it's not conscious. It's it just happens. I don't control it.
Learning who you are.
Some men, it makes them like, and they freak out, and even some females too, you know, and I'm like, listen, it's not a problem, like, I'm just crying, but you've never made me feel weird about it. Like, you're just like, oh God, girl. And I'm like, Hunter, stop, leave me alone, you know how I am. And you're like, I know, I love you, it's fine.
Exactly.
And so it's good. So everybody out there, get you a Hunter.
Emotionless pit of nothing. That just accepts everything. No, I have emotion.
Oh my God. Yes, I know you do.
Well, and it's funny to see how, or to hear how other people perceive you, right? Mm-hmm. Because to you, I seem really organized and put together and all of these things. But to me, I'm like, look at this whole mess. I have all of these notes everywhere. How am I going to process all of these thoughts into one thing? And like, I mean, you guys can't see, but all around the room, literally on the walls are notes. And there's notes right there. And I have a notebook in there, and it's full of thoughts that I don't know how to process. So I just write them down.
But here's the thing. You're good at the writing down part. I'm not good at the writing down part.
Fair.
I'm better at the taking your thoughts or our thoughts and
putting them together.
This is how we're going to say that. This is how that's going to flow. You know what I mean? I'm like, I actually realized that, like, I think I would make a super good boss bitch. I just didn't go to college. Because, like, when I worked at the gym, I literally got a job working the front desk. And within 2 weeks, they were asking me to apply for the assistant manager position. And it was a huge, like, this would be a great thing for talking about imposter syndrome. I was like, I can't do that. I'm a hairdresser. Right. I don't know how to do that. I don't know Excel. I don't know Microsoft Word. Like, computers make me sweat just like taxes do. You know? And now you want me to go sit in an office and, like, do shit? No, you know? I'm goofy. I'm unprofessional. I smack my employees or my coworkers' butts at work. Like, I can't do that if I'm a manager. You know? Like, I can't do that. So there were things that obviously I did have to change, but it made me realize how good I am at taking other people's strengths and organizing them into something that's beautiful. Like,
well, and I also think that a skill that you have that not a lot of people have is you can take a problem and solve it instantly just on, like, A, common sense, but B, like, you should do it this way because if you do it this way, it's going to take longer, and this is the reason why you should do it this way. Like,
I'm real good at how to do it fast.
You're real good at, like, figuring out solutions to problems, like problem solving, and that's something that not a lot of people can do, is quickly solve a problem, which makes you a great leader.
I've never had that thought about my own self. So let's
think about it. Think about it. Yeah. Anytime something goes wrong, like, I forgot my makeup palette.
Oh, yeah.
You were like, okay, I'll go to your house. I'll get it. It's fine. Tell me where it is. You got there. When you got back, I wasn't answering my phone. So you, like, knocked on the door. Yeah. Like, you had all of these plans, like, in your brain before it happened. It feels like, almost. Either that or you just work really well under pressure.
I work really well under pressure. I do. And you know what? It's funny because it's one of those things that, like, at work, when I'm slammed, I'm a better hairdresser. And I might need help, you know, executing. But because I'm on task and I'm constantly and I'm working under pressure, I'm always got that in the back of my head. I'm a talker. You know me. I get distracted easily. If I have too much time, I will be like,
Ericka can't talk and foil.
No, I
at the
can't
same
do
time.
it. I've been practicing for 25 effing years and I still can't do it.
Every
I was
time
13 years old, okay?
I'll see her like foiling and she's telling a story and she gets real excited and she has like a foil in one hand and
And I'm
a
talking.
comb in the other and she's like this.
Oh my God, girl. And then this and this and this and this. And then I poke a hole in the foil. And then I got to get another
You
one.
gotta
And then
throw
I
it
still
away.
have foiled. And I am famous for telling my clients, baby, I love you. How was your weekend? Fill me in. Cool. Great. Now I have to foil. Because I've got to get this done.
Yep.
And I won't. And clients sometimes apologize. They're like, I'm sorry, I'm not really talkative. I said, girl, I'll work better if you're not talking to me. Like,
Honestly.
it's true.
Yeah.
And I've learned to just to say that and not try to force conversations or to just keep my own mouth shut.
Right. Because sometimes as a hairdresser, we are talkative people 9 times out of 10. Like, I can talk to a brick wall. So it's sometimes hard to not talk as a hairdresser. And you fill this space and you say things that, like, sometimes it's hard to realize that not everyone cares.
I can't tell you how many nights I've laid awake and been like, I shouldn't have never told that person that. Never should have said that.
Yep.
Well, and I feel like this episode is kind of evolving, but I
love it.
what was I saying? I don't know, tell people that.
Sometimes we overshare.
We overshare, and Kuko was talking about earlier what she was saying about balancing professional and being authentic and all that. But I have also, which I've told a story before about something similar, but and we're going to do episodes on this eventually too, my relationships and my oversharing of my personal stuff has hindered my growth as a professional before. Does that make sense?
It does.
So, yeah.
Well, and I feel like, especially when you work for a company, right? You've had the experience. I have the experience where they tell you, you know, we have one voice as a company.
Yeah.
But we don't want you to be a robot.
Yeah.
But you need to say all of these things, but you also need to be yourself. I have never... Still,
Yeah.
I have a hard time conveying the message as that one voice, but also being myself. I'm either a robot or I am myself. I don't have that in between. So what I found is just be yourself, because you know what? Not everybody's going to like it.
Well, you know, there is someone in this industry, I'm not going to name names or brands. There's someone in this industry that was a huge part of revolutionizing this industry and trends in this industry, who used to work for a brand that let him go because of some other side ventures that he had or things that he did that they felt they didn't align with.
And now
And
look
you
at
know
that.
what? He took that and he grew with that and he said, F you, this is who I am, this is my past, this is where I'm at. And he's got all this other stuff going on, and he's just, stayed true to himself. And that brand, guess what? It wasn't that he didn't align with the brand, it was that brand didn't align with him.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think let's bring it back to the hairdresser adjacent part where you said not everyone is going to do it your way and you're not going to do it their way. I think a lot of times as hairdressers, we get in this mindset that these people that are on Instagram traveling the world, teaching and this and that is their way.
Yeah.
That's how they want to do their career. If that's not the way that you want to do your career or the way that your career has set itself up for you, that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an educator to be successful.
No.
You don't have to have an Instagram following, or you don't have to do a podcast. These are things that these people and us have chosen to do because that's our journey. It doesn't have to be your journey for you to be considered a successful hairstylist.
Exactly. But also, if you want to do it,
Do it.
do it. And that's the thing is, like, it really is that easy.
It really is. And going to the just doing it part, when you first do it, you're going to be bad.
Well, look at us. And we're not like a huge super successful podcast, like, you know what I mean? But we have decided to just go balls to the walls. Balls to the walls got us in some trouble there for a second. Guess what? We rearranged some things. We're going to keep going. We're not going to give up. People have said bad things to us, and we don't care.
No.
Because we made a mistake because we didn't know what we were doing, and we're learning as we go. And if you can't appreciate that, then you're not part of our journey. Cool. Best of luck on your own.
Yes.
On your own journey that is right for you, and you ain't over here on our team, and that's fine.
Right. I love how Michelle always says, you know exactly where everyone sits on your bus. I know exactly where that bus is. I know exactly how to open that emergency hatch on the back and push you right out, honey. You made your way to the back.
I might give you a cushion on the way down. I might kick your ass in the teeth and watch you fall.
Right.
Just kidding.
But really.
But really.
But really, it's one way or another. If you're not servicing me, or if you have brought this bad energy and bad juju into this, bye. Bye. We're doing our thing, and that's just that, you know? You're going to be bad at it.
Yeah.
You're going to be bad. Listen to episode 1 of this podcast.
This is so cheesy. Don't make fun of me. But, guys, there's a new Game of Thrones out, so I'm obsessed with Game of Thrones. And so now I've been rewatching the original OG Game of Thrones because there's only one episode out at a time. And there's this point where it's after Jon Snow. For Game of Thrones people, Hunter will have no idea what I'm talking about.
I've never seen an episode.
But he'll get where I'm going with this. It's the point after Jon Snow dies and he comes back, and he's saying something about leaving Castle Black, and he was like, I did that and I failed. And somebody looks at him and he goes, good, now go fail again.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't get it right, you're not going to get it right the first time. And then you know what? The other part of that is you can get it right and then change it later. Try it again.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan changed his entire studio when he moved his studio from LA to Texas, and everybody fucking hated it. So he put it back.
In LA?
No, it's still in Texas, but he made the set the same. He put it back to the OG Joe Rogan set. Like,
that's kind of funny.
And that's Joe Rogan. Like, I mean, he always fails up, I think, but it's because he works hard. Right. People have their opinions on him, but I think him as a man is a good man. But
I don't know who he is. So
nobody knows anything about him. I love his podcast, but it's just, my point is like, just do it, because you hear people say just do it, and
you're like, yeah,
I'm an Oregon girl. I grew up in Oregon. Nike, hello, just do it. It's everywhere. But like, it really is. And even if it's just doing it, and the first step is talking to someone, like hearing Kelly with our last week's episode talk about the brush and everything, and how she was like, I just saw like a need for this, and so I had different prototypes made. Like, I never even thought about the fact that she might have had to wiggle that around and change 40 different versions of it.
Right. Well, and I think it's cool too that she said, I know that this isn't a unique, one-of-a-kind brush. I know that there are other brushes out there like that. But for me and her access to products, it wasn't available. So she created it and filled that hole.
And that's, you know what? And for her if everyone in her area, even, what did she say? I've sold 150 brushes.
Yeah.
That's not millions of units by any means, but that wasn't the point.
Right. The point was to fill the need.
Fill the need in her area, and the accessibility, the lack of accessibility for that area. And that was cool.
It was fucking cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And that was inspiring. I love this podcast. I'm so effing grateful to be a part of it, because it's like, at first I was honestly a little bummed because I was a listener to the podcast. There was a part of me that was bummed that I would have to listen to the podcast and get over hearing my own voice if I wanted to listen to it,
Yeah.
And there are episodes that I listen to, and there's some that I don't, because it's like I want to hear it from the point of a listener, and I do. I listen to it completely different, and actually almost forget that it's my voice I hear,
I do that too.
Because I'm listening from the point of like a listener, and I'm like Dallin's episode I listened to like 400 times, and because I'm like, we had been talking about competing and just what that's like and stuff. And so I like went through a million times just so I could actually hear, because I wasn't listening from being a showrunner. I was listening from being a listener, and it was just cool because that was so inspirational. Like, his story is so inspirational. Lauren's story, inspirational. Kelly's story, inspirational. All these other people we're going to have. Everybody's story I've gotten something from. And taken a little bit of wisdom that I feel like obviously wasn't accessible to me any other way. And so if I hadn't heard it, and I'm on my phone all the damn time and on Instagram all the damn time.
She's on her phone, but her notifications are silenced, just in case you want to know.
So accurate. I'm also on a van life kick right now, so not all my pages are hair right now, but it just is cool because I'm like, we've just decided to create, well, you created the accessibility to this, and went ahead and just did this podcast, and like, screw it, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And thank you, Hunter, for taking me along on this journey, because it's been so huge for me in my own healing and growth that like, I'm talking to these people, and number one, they're like honored to be on our podcast, which is super cool.
It's that part to me, when someone says that to me, I'm like,
I feel like it's our own version of them having to listen to us introduce them. When they're like, it's an honor to be here, we're like, you know. I
know. I'm like, an honor.
Like,
I'm like, cool. We're in this little 5x5 room. Like,
hey, no, this is professional. Okay, we are doing it. But yeah, I don't know where. I think I'm rambling again, but
we are, and that's fine.
Some of this will stay in, some of it won't, I'm sure.
I think most of it, because every last drop of this episode has hit for me, at least. And if that's the thing too, is something that I'm looking forward to moving forward with the two of us, is that we are creating jointly something that we are proud of.
Yeah. And
that we're releasing stuff and episodes out that we're happy about, and that we want to listen to over and over again. And moving forward,
somebody was like, you have like, because you know, you come in my car, like Breaker and Banter is always in my like my car play.
It is.
And like, I listen to my own podcast because I want to hear it as a listener. Because my mind, I mean, when we're here doing this, we're just having a conversation. When we're here with a guest, obviously we're on screen time or FaceTime or whatever. You're hoping the audio is good. You're this and that. Sometimes there's delays. It's just a different vibe. So like, I do listen to my own podcast, but not because I'm arrogant, I promise.
Well, honestly, it's like going back to me being taken aback when someone says it's an honor to be here. I almost like black out
a little bit.
I am like, can't believe that these people want to be or agreed to come on our podcast.
But isn't it funny, because here we are being all starstruck by these people, but also simultaneously learning and hearing from them themselves that, like, Jay, you're in the same room with these people. And when we asked Dallin, or is there anyone that intimidates you? He was like, no. Because I don't look at it that way. And it's like, well, shoot. Okay.
We're in the same room.
We're in the same room. And if we're not in the room yet, we gonna get in it.
Period. And that has been another episode.
Will be on the door.
That part.
I mean,
work until your name's on the door.
All right.
Well, with all that being said, this has been another episode of Break Room Banter. I hope you enjoyed this very on-the-fly podcast. I know I did.
I did.
And if you want to follow us on our social media journeys, I am at HairXHunter on all the things.
I'm Ericka the Redhead on all the things.
And our podcast is at Break Room Banter Pod on all the things. We have a Patreon, $5, $10, $15 a month. Gonna go ahead and warn you now, subscribe to the $5 tier. Don't waste your money on the $10 and the $15 tier, because we're gonna be working on that.
Yeah, Hunter's got some travel this October. And it's going to be kind of crazy for the next month or so, but after that we are going to buckle down and actually get classes filmed and like really do this. I had to get through my summer with Deacon. Hunter's got like educating like a madman for the next few weeks. So we're doing what we can to keep this going. We're going to YouTube now, and then Break Room University is next.
Yes.
So thank you for everyone. Apologies to anyone who may have subscribed to it. And I hope you changed it.
Yeah.
And went down. Because that was one of those things that we went gung-ho on, but we didn't really have the backup work for it. It's a lesson learned. We've tried to be really upfront and honest with you guys about that and correct any issues that may have happened. But thank you for those of you who have stuck with us and understand that we're learning.
Yeah. And because of your support, we have this beautiful studio
absolutely.
that we can
now do YouTube videos.
Post YouTube videos. So, I'm really excited. This is part 1 of part 2 of 2 parts. And our next week's episode guest is going to be J. Ren.
J. Ren. We're going to talk about the music video, like from her perspective and a little bit more about her. And I'm excited to have somebody on the podcast that is adjacent and not
a hairstylist.
I'm really excited about it, which I think we might be doing a little bit more of in the future. I think we'll probably should have Kayla poll on that. Like, who wants to hear from people who aren't hairdressers?
Yeah.
You know?
I think so too.
So, cool.
All right.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.